It is indeed a pleasure to have this privilege to play here for you. We intend to give you a very fine program, so just settle back, relax, and enjoy the moment.
Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm doing mic check. My mic looks nice. Good morning, y'all. It's a crazy morning. I'm trying to lean into it. What up, Captain Glitter? I ain't seen you in the Twitch chat in a minute. What up, Justin? Good morning. You got your shirt? And you got looking for Lorraine? Yes, please post it. Yo, what's up, Meg? Yo, I'm about to do a romper room. That's the one thing I forgot to do. I said that I told myself yesterday, I was like, remind yourself to that's how I talk to myself. Remind yourself, Tamika. Remind yourself to get to download all the pictures of folks wearing the t-shirt. Because it really does, like, it just brightens up my day. I don't take it for granted. Whenever I see someone rocking something that I either make or, you know, shout out to Jared. Jared created what we were gonna put on the t-shirts front and back. You know, when I see somebody wearing what we made, it just gives me all kinds of chills. Good morning, D Bartlett. Look at Joni, y'all bright and early. What up, Whiskey Neat? Okay, let me start by saying this. This morning was a little different. Like, I woke up fine. What up, new follower? I need to move this thing right here. Hold on. Let me see if I can do it without messing up. Live streaming. Make that a little smaller. I was trying to hide my TV mount. Y'all see my TV mount back there? But yeah, want to start off and just say it's kind of weird energy. I don't know how to explain it. Got great sleep, saw my parents yesterday. Mom and pops hooked me up with some banging leftovers. I'm well, how are you? Yeah, but you know, the news of Michael K. Williams passing kind of hit me harder than I thought, as someone who grew up who went through college watching The Wire. Y'all know, if you follow me, you know I love Lovecraft Country. I just love Michael K. Williams. I love Michael K. Williams, and you know, his passing was really tough. Shout out Whiskey Neat, because I learned on your IG feed. Shout out Whiskey Neat. Real sad, like super sad song. I'm actually going to talk about that. I know this is the newsletter. We're going to talk about Hank and Babs. They shall from this day forward be called Hank and Babs. We're going to talk about Hank and Babs. We're going to talk about the National Guard coming here to respond to COVID. We're going to talk about how we keep making national news for all the wrong shit here in South Carolina. But yeah, I just wanted to like Boardwalk and Chalky White. Come on. Sopranos. What, he had like a bit part in Sopranos? But Chalky White on Boardwalk. Oh my God. Yeah, good morning. Thank you for contributing. Yeah, it's just like it hit me hard. Yeah, Omar coming. Look at you. That's right, Omar coming. Yeah, it's super sad. And while I think details are still coming in, you know, I think, you know, it looks like it's drug addiction, and it really just man, just really got in my head this morning. So good morning, D. He was so beautiful in every single role he did. Absolutely. And to see a dark-skinned black man take on roles, like complicated roles. Omar was like, Omar gotta be a real, you know how they say the truth is stranger than fiction? Omar gotta be like Omar is such a complicated, complex character. And to see someone tackle that and challenge masculinity, challenge what that looks like on screen on HBO is amazing. So I'm just gonna play a little Guardian video, that maybe 2 videos, and then we're gonna get into that. The other thing I want to do some housekeeping. Good morning, Michelle. Yeah, possible overdose, but we don't know definitively, right? Like I said, it looks like it might be addiction related, but either way, tragic loss, like serious, like big loss, especially like anyway from the Northeast. big time dancer back in the day, all that. I want to do some housekeeping real quick. I meant to do this at the end of last week. So what I do is I go back and I watch. Yup, Tupac discovered him, Whiskey Neat. I had to say that part. Okay. All right, y'all. It's trickling a little later, but I want to do some housekeeping. So I wanted to. Y'all remember when I came on and I talked about my firing and I was real candid and I was real emotional. I went back and I watched that video just so I can either prepare for any blowback if I get any, whatever. But I also went back because I always I'll watch my live streams back. Maybe not all of them all the way through, especially as the longer they've gotten. But I've gone back to look at the live stream where I discussed my firing from Cypress and how shitty that was, yada yada yada. But I sounded real crazy. I sounded real crazy at one part, and I wanted to address that. I sounded like Denzel Washington's character from Training Day at the end. Like, I sounded like I was about to say King Kong ain't got nothing on me. I went off on a tangent, y'all, where I said that if it wasn't for me, no one would know what Cypress is in South Carolina. I cringed when I watched it back recently and wanted to say, shout out to all the amazing women. I'm not going to name them because I don't know how they feel right now. I'm sure they, and they got varying relationships with the Cypress Fund. But shout out to all the women, the Black women whose work helped to amplify the work that we all collectively were trying to do. And I'm sure, again, they're still probably connected to the fund. I am not. But shout out to all the Black women and all the Black women on the ground who benefited or received, like the grantees who received money from Cypress Fund. I don't want to alienate myself from, because I had a shitty experience doesn't mean that their experience is shitty. That's just how the ball bounces. And I sounded very egotistical. I sounded very hurt. And I was hurt and I'm leaning into it, right? But I sounded really over the top. And I think that was just adrenaline and a bunch of things going on in my head. So I wanted to apologize if I sounded like crazy egotistical. It's like, if it wasn't for me, I'm like, nah, like chill out. And also too, two things can be true. I can have a shitty boss and that boss can be responsible for elevating some important work on the ground. And that's the truth too, right? And my experience is my experience. So I wanted to say that out the gate. And now I want to do some more recent housekeeping. Yesterday, as we discussed the Labor Day and the real meaning behind Labor Day, right? Not just this consumer's holiday that every holiday has become. But we talked about Labor Day. We talked about slave rebellions and slave revolts, and I didn't like how I positioned it. I mentioned drone strikes in the same sentence as the slave revolts. What I think I wanted to say, or at least let me just say this now, looking back in hindsight, I want to say this. I still maintain, don't get caught up on the actual violence of a revolt. If you're more bothered by the violence that the enslaved populations chose to use as a tool, make sure you're equally upset at the violence that was perpetuated against them. I talked about bloodshed yesterday, and I didn't like how clumsily I discussed it. But people do get hung up like those straw man arguments that the white nationalists here in Charleston often make to defend why Denmark Vesey shouldn't be memorialized. He was going to lead a revolt that was going to end in the loss of white lives. But that was as a result of the brutality and abuses that Black people collectively endured, underneath the institution of enslavement. And so that's what I was trying to say, and I did it really whack. And I mentioned drone strikes, but I guess what I was trying to think of was like question all types of violence or physical force used. If you are caught up, I kind of wanted people to stop getting caught up. Well, we can't celebrate Denmark Vesey because he was going to lead a revolt or rebellion. Yes, you can. And the rebellion and revolt is in direct response to the violence that they had to contend with. If Black people here, whether or not he bought his freedom or not, he still was a byproduct or suffered through. He didn't, couldn't free his wife, couldn't free his child. He himself was in bondage. Denmark Vesey, I'm speaking of specifically. But any of our leaders, Jemmy or whomever who led a revolt, best believe it was a response to some pretty pretty over the top violence. Like I said, I don't think we can ever really imagine how horrible the period of enslavement was. So I just wanted to say that, right? All right, that's just me doing some housekeeping. What time is it? 7:40, 10 minutes in, boom. Go ahead, let's switch up. Let's switch up and just watch something real quick, and then we're gonna hop into local news, all that, okay? All right, so yeah, let's just go ahead and I wanted to queue up at least, I think these two videos. This is 22 seconds and this is 148. Let's play this one from CBS Evening News. This is where Whiskey Neat posted it, and then I think I was sitting at my mom's and pop's house and I saw this come on yesterday on the Evening News. Oh, it's muted. Hold on one second.
Tragic news tonight from Brooklyn, New York, where actor Michael K. Williams was found dead inside his apartment from a possible drug overdose. Williams was best known for playing the character Omar Little in the gritty HBO crime series The Wire. He also had roles in Boardwalk Empire and Lovecraft Country. Michael K. Williams was 54 years old.
It's so sad. Such a beautiful person. Like, beautiful in so many different ways.
Come on now, by the heads of your chinny chin chin.
Omar coming.
We up in here with the Mac tank.
Oh, I think's not, Terrell. I think's not. Y'all might need to think this through and stop wasting my time. Cause Omar can come back tomorrow. And the next day. And the next day.
Mr. White, we just want to
talk
about what?
Mr. Pastor, he usually front us in advance.
That between you and him.
We ain't seen him since Friday.
I tell you what, I take care of y'all now. Square with him later.
So it is true. You are a faggot.
Homophobic slur, but we're gonna get through it.
I'm still your goddamn daddy! And you respect me! Get out of here! You get out! Don't you ever call me out my fucking name! Did Mama know? Yes. All I know, we were traveling. We wish we'd die trying.
Survival's not about certain death.
It's one of the movies I could only watch once.
Head down.
Too much. Forgot he was in that.
Days ago, I was with my family.
On the stand with the lawyer, for sure.
In my home. Now you tell me all is lost.
I'm glad they just did a little montage of his performances. Seriously, like, when you talk about, like, talents that really impact, I mean, I don't know, college, I was too broke to get HBO for, like, the first 2.5 years. And then I broke down, got HBO, caught up on The Wire, and yeah, just really, really think that his portrayals on the small screen and on the big screen were just larger than life, and just such a really just proud black man, just amazing black man. Oh man, yeah, I know you want, like, exactly, B man, like, you want, somebody else said that earlier too, we don't know definitively what happened, but you know, you hate for things to come out in drips and drabs without it being confirmed first. Yeah. Well, I just wanted to spend time and say that, you know, hey, good morning, Joy. Good morning. Right? I'm so happy that my Twitch peeps really, it resonate with y'all too. That's what makes this whole thing feel like more like community than anything else when we do Twitch. All right. So check it. The newsletter came out this morning. Shout out to all y'all who are really responding well to the newsletter. Thank you for all the good feedback as well. Newsletter went out. We're gonna talk about Hank and Babs. We're gonna talk about you know, basically our state's leadership's reluctance to act, to move forward into protecting our citizens here in South Carolina. I want to say shout out Jessica. Jessica's here, right? Weren't you just talking? Yeah, Jessica, cousin Jessica's here. Yeah. Shout out to you, Jessica, because, like, I fumbled it a little bit. I fumbled it a little bit last week when we talked about the Barbara Crosby interview with Raphael. I fumbled it. I didn't let it play, and I wasn't kind of grasping what y'all were dropping in the chat until like me and Jessica had a little exchange in IG, and I'm like, what the hell? And then someone showed an isolated clip. So let me just hop into it now. I hopefully it'll play. I did pause it. Let me see. I had it paused for a while, so maybe I can always fast forward. I know a minute, but basically, I started to play this last week, y'all. Y'all see this is from 5 days ago. Regarding they basically Live 5 News covered the Dorchester District 2 school board meeting, and they interviewed a couple people who participated in it. Barbara Crosby grabbed local headlines because she walked out. She stormed out like a petulant child. Shout out to Jessica. All those posts that you share with me from her, it really, 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 I don't want to misspeak. This woman is not in touch with reality at all. It's the one thing to have your political, very conservative points of views. I follow people. I'm Facebook friends with lots of really staunch, not lots, but I'm sure a number of staunch conservatives who are, even though I'm not in agreement with a lot of their political leanings and political opinions, they're in touch with reality. This woman is not in touch with reality. She has gone off the deep end, just diving head first, cannonball, however, whatever, into conspiracy theory land. And Jessica, thank you for showing all her greatest hits. I didn't cue it up. I don't think that's important. But let's get into the video where I fumbled last week. We're gonna recover our own fumble, and get to the juicy parts. Let me see this real quick. I'm gonna fast forward it. So it was right here, like around like
this period is over.
Around the 19-minute mark.
Together and not against each other to
I'm
come
gonna
up.
rewind a little bit more, cause and Raphael kept trying to give her an out, and because she's a feckless person who's just enjoying 13 years on the school board without much resistance. She has no one's pushing her to be better. This is my whole point. Like, I don't know and she's not blue, right? She's not a Democrat. But this is my point when I did the whole Too Blue to Critique live stream. You have to make your politicians better. She's not even like, y'all, she's on cruise control. Oh, I don't know what the hell she's on. Like, she is not even like applying any type of effort. She doesn't even she can't even gauge where she is politically. She can't sense that she's on the edge of a cliff. She has someone has to make her better. Someone has to check her because she has completely lost touch with reality. And let me just let it rock. Jessica, before I let it rock, you said she's a mess. You've been riding her backside for years. Shout out to you doing the Lord's work. She ended up blocking me good. That's a badge of honor. She's that toxic. She's that toxic right-wing racist. Yeah, she's that toxic racist right-wing flavor. Yeah, right. Yeah, and after you mentioned that, Jessica, that KKK Corey introduced her at the rally, then I remembered her. I'm like, oh yeah. So she's like completely. It's one thing. It's funny how all of that stuff is really kind of just somewhere else with it. But anyway, let's go right here. Let's play it.
To be as safe as they can be in this pandemic. Back to that vote. Do you think what Mr. Pye, Superintendent Pye, had to say in that meeting changed some of your colleagues' minds from what you had already decided days ago?
Absolutely. That's why they flipped.
And why do you think that's so? What do you think he said that caused them to change their mind?
Yes.
They wanted to support the superintendent. And whatever. He could have said C. He could have said A. He could have said anything. And
why is she blinking?
Most of us do support Mr. Pye. Mr. Pye works hard. Mr. Pye does everything he can for us. And he cares about kids. And he's just like I said, I'm speaking my heart. He spoke his heart. He thought that B would be better. And so they chose to flip.
Okay. Well, again, I
She is
appreciate you being
blinking,
here.
blinking,
Where do we
blinking,
go
blinking, blinking, blinking.
from here? I know you don't have the magic answer, but how do we work together? And I asked Mr. Farnsworth the
Is
same
she
question. So I'll
roboting?
ask you.
What's up, Nicole?
Given the circumstances that we have, how do we all work together and not against each other to come up with something that's really going to be helpful and beneficial for our children?
Well, it's probably going to come down to mandates, probably from the governor, with him and Molly Spearman, or national even, Supreme Court.
Listen.
All of those decisions are probably going to be what's going to end up making the decision for us.
Listen.
And like you said, by the time this period is over, this B is over, no telling what will come up. Because I know that the principals had to be in Columbia today to speak. All the principals came together to hash out COVID. So between that and Molly, and like I said, the governor, and no telling what Biden will do.
That part.
You know, so it's like,
no telling what Biden will do.
I mean, anything could happen tomorrow. I mean, something could change tomorrow.
But okay, so you just said something that kind of blew my mind. You think it's not going to get better until mandates happen,
right?
Until the government.
I just think that's what's going to happen.
But you think it'll be better after that happens?
Oh no.
We don't want to mandate. We want to be.
What do you think? What do you think?
You don't know where she at.
Better?
Like seriously.
How do we get beyond where
she don't understand where she at? She just knows she's opposed to.
All we can do is hope and pray that this virus, this stuff goes away, which we know it's not. But I think the fact that if we get the kids in school, they're sanitizing it as much as they can. They really are trying to keep, the custodians are working hard and overtime to keep our schools safe and clean, and the buses. The fact that they'll be in school, they'll be hands-on, that's what's going to solve the problem of educating our kids. Now, I hope and pray that our kids don't get deathly ill, or that we don't lose any children.
Erica.
But you know what? That's not my stories anyway. That's up to God.
Say that one more time. It sounded like you said that's not your concern. I just want to make sure.
No, I didn't say concern. I said that's not going to be my decision. It's going to be. God decides who lives and dies, right?
Understood. I just wanted to make sure I'm hearing absolutely right.
You know,
Ms. Crosby,
I had to pause. I might stop it there. It's just, regardless if you're a person of faith or not, it's just so weird. It's still weird to me how local elected officials invoke God. I know, for my faithful that watch me, hear me out. I'm not anti-Christian. I'm not anti anybody's religion. But it's just so weird to me how they keep saying, like, they act as if God has this like auxiliary position literally on the school board. Like the way they talk is almost like a certainty, like, okay, we'll take roll call. God, okay, Barbara, I just no deal in the actual literal, like in the real. Don't deal in this spiritual hypothetical, like. And even if you're the most devout person, that's not how faith works. That's not how, what they say, faith without works, what? Is dead? Like, faith without works is dead. Meet God halfway. If you believe in God so much, meet God halfway. Damn, you believe in the sanctity of life so much? Show me. Let me see what y'all saying. She's talking about children getting sick and dying from a preventable virus. Amen. What's up, El J? Right? Separation of church and state, it don't exist here. Right? Joni, you was like, oh, cleaning services doesn't stop. Yeah, I know. I told my mom that yesterday as she grabbed one of her own doorknobs with a shirt covered hand. My mom has become a germaphobe. Nicole, you said this is so much bullshit. Excuse to keep from doing anything, right? Right? If faith is so powerful in that way, why do you need a gun? Ooh. Ooh, D. Don't hurt him. Right? If faith is so powerful, why y'all so gun crazy? Joy, you said, why would she ever argue or throw a fit if it's all up to God? Right. Why you storm out? Why you let God guide you through the meeting? All right, God helps you through God helps those who help themselves. Right. That's what I grew up hearing in Sunday school, right? Meg, what did you say? I've never understood that mentality, right? Doesn't God provide us with brilliant right? It's crazy how people use religion to really kind of like excuse away things, everything from slavery to not wanting to protect kids in classrooms. Let me see if there's anything else.
Thank you so much.
Nope. So I'm gonna close that out again. I should have kind of taken my time with that, because what happened after that aired, after she stormed out like a petulant child, and after Raphael conducted this interview, I'm gonna close that out. I saw that and I sent this to Jessica yesterday because I saw it on Twitter. It made Newsweek. So it said, God decides who lives or dies, said school board member against COVID. Oh God, y'all know how it is. COVID prevention. So Barbara Crosby, this is what it says here. Barbara Crosby, an elected member of the Dorchester School Board in South Carolina, said that God decides who lives and dies during a TV news interview about her school district's COVID-19 prevention measures. As of September 3rd, approximately 20% of the students in her district have been quarantined due to possible COVID-19 exposure. Let me repeat that sentence. As of September 3rd, if y'all got some new stats on this, let me know. As of September 3rd, approximately 20% of the students in her district have been quarantined due to possible COVID-19 exposure. And then this is the quote. Now, I hope and pray that our kids, well, we already listened to her say this, but that's not my, she did stop herself. I think she did realize her toes were off the edge of the cliff a little bit. That's up to God, right? Yeah, and when James asked for a clarification, Crosby responded, I said, that's not going to be my decision. It's going to be, God decides who lives or dies, right? That sounds like that old movie. They shoot horses, don't they? Like, it's just really sick and sad. Crosby explained that she walked out of the meeting because she was upset over the votes and some of her fellow, like, it's just like Harry Griffin, right? When he can't get consensus, or he can't get a number of his peers to join him in whatever voting or whatever it is, right? He then does something like, oh, I'm going to work with the Proud Boys. You don't let me in your clubhouse. I'm going to go to the Proud Boys clubhouse, and we're going to have our own hand signals, and we're going to say white power, and we're not going to let girls in. Nope, because we're chauvinists, and we're going to tell everybody that our racial animus is really just anxiety about taxation. It's the same bullshit. It's the same shit. Temper tantrums, D. Yeah, and El Cool J, you said Raphael gave her he kept giving her off ramps, like, yo, you wildin', sis. Babs, you wildin'. So this is Newsweek's coverage of Miss Babs, right? Let me scroll down. And then I'm gonna close this out. And then, this is problematic as hell, Daily Mail. But it's trash when you make the Daily Mail, as a person who's been in the Daily Mail countless times over some Southern Charm bullshit. Go ahead, the ads. Y'all can see what I shop for and everything. Yes, I be on Forever 21. Yes, they have the best bike shorts. All right, I'm trying to read this by scrolling. Let's see. Okay, so Daily Mail got it as well. This was when was this put up? Oh, September 3rd as well. It says, God decides who lives or dies, and South Carolina school board member opposes virtual learning, says it's not her duty to protect kids from COVID-19. Oh, give that person a raise. Who wrote that headline? Right? That's it. God decides who lives or dies. South Carolina school board member opposes virtual learning, says it's not her duty to protect kids from COVID. It's God's duty. Okay, so these are the bullet points. School board member stormed out. All right, I'm gonna leave it there because we pretty much got it. It's just we're getting national attention from some bullshit. There was something I wanted to hit on. Oh, on a serious note, let's transition to not that yet, not yet. Let's transition to an update. I think I want to do this yesterday, but I didn't. So Barbara doesn't feel like these kids' lives are worth planning for, right? So let's play this update regarding the kids. Oh yeah, this is good to go. Regarding the kids.
An update for you on a story we told you about a couple of weeks ago in the Low Country. 12-year-old Amari Goodwin has been hospitalized for weeks at MUSC. The good news is she's making some progress in her fight against COVID-19. Amari's mom says her daughter is finally off the ventilator. According to Misty, her daughter was diagnosed with COVID pneumonia and RSV in August. She was admitted to MUSC and put on a ventilator August 11th. Amari is no longer sedated and is now doing physical therapy to get stronger.
It's sad because as y'all just dropped in the chat, it's all preventable, right? It's all preventable. All right, so I wanted to get more updates on. Okay, here's another one. This is sad.
We are starting.
When was this? This was yesterday. This is super sad. With WLTX out of Columbia.
We are starting off tonight with the news of the death of a South Carolina fourth grader due to COVID-19. The Aiken County coroner has confirmed that 9-year-old Ethan Blue of North Augusta died last Wednesday from COVID-19. He was born in Richland County and lived in Aiken County and went to North Augusta Elementary School. According to DHEC, 5 kids ages 10 and younger have died from the virus in our state. When it comes to the 11 to 20-year-old age group, 11 youngsters have died from the virus.
I want to just pause here because I know we're going through headlines and kind of going through it at a rapid pace, but I really do think that, y'all, we have to really understand the magnitude of. We just got to really slow down. And Babs, again, I don't want to just be dunking on people just to be dunking on people. It's really like dunking on a 4-year-old, people like Babs and whatnot, and Nancy and Harry. But we really do have to hold space for so many families being impacted. Jessica, honestly, like, I don't know what. So, Jessica, in the exchange that we had on IG about Babs, and then here, like you said something just now, really simple. But you saying thank you for highlighting what we're dealing with. I kind of connect with that because, you know, when you feel like you're just shouting into a void about something that's so egregious. That's how I feel. I feel like our state is on fire with COVID, and the response from a Babs or our response from a Hank McMaster is so. It's so troubling, and it feels demoralizing. And I want to acknowledge how it feels to really care about, like, sincerely have a genuine care for your neighbors, right? And what they may be going through. And just the loss of life, the loss of quality of life. Man, we won't even know how we'll be dealing with this a year from now, let alone 10 years from now. And I just really think that in all of this that we're talking about, I hope that folks feel empowered to call their elected officials, call McMasters. No, I'm not going to put the number up right now. Y'all know, y'all got Google. But call McMaster, call school boards, call whomever you got to, and tell them how you feel. It's not enough to just click and get mad and leave a comment and chime in on my comment section. We got to start calling these elected officials so they hear us steadily and often enough to know that this is not right. You could do more. And I think you can. This is just the weirdest statement I'm probably going to say on this live stream, at least today. I think you can support fucking Trump and fucking protect your fucking citizens. I think you can communicate to Trump that, hey, I still love your zany ways and still protect your constituency. And that's just not what we're getting from our elected officials. We're not getting that response. So let me go to another video. This one is, let me see where it at, right here. So I posted this as a reel later in the evening last night on Instagram. I posted a portion of this. So I was watching, PBS NewsHour yesterday evening, and as soon as I heard our state mentioned, of course my ears perked up, and I'm like, oh, I gotta rewind and tune in. So this aired yesterday evening.
Virus. But on Labor Day, the traditional end of summer, the Delta variant is taking a huge toll.
So let's begin
Stephanie
and fast
Sy
forward.
looks at where the country stands and where we may be headed.
John, to get a sense of how much things have changed, consider these numbers. On Memorial Day, the U.S. was averaging about 21,000 new cases a day. Today, it's about 160,000.
That's crazy.
Then there were about 47,000 hospitalizations a day. Now, it's over 100,000. And deaths had dropped to under 1,000 a day in May. Now the country is averaging more than...
And you know we're going to get this like delayed reaction type of kickback. In a couple of weeks, we're going to see numbers that are probably going to blow our minds. I'm sure you parents have already, instead of kind of just waiting every day to see what happens, I'm sure parents are already planning for worst case scenarios or just a resumption of distance learning at home. Just get ready to basically, and I said this in the graphic that I created for this morning's live stream, we're on our own. And the organizer and activist in me has always known that, right? That, you know, the institutions are not going to say, I tweeted this last week, the institutions are not going to save us, right? Everyone knows that. These institutions will not save us. These elected officials are not like these heroes. They can be heroic at times. They can really show up for lives. For all of our lives, right? Not just Black lives, but just they can really show up if they choose to, but more often than not, they don't choose to. It's really, really sad. Okay. Who is this? Hi from Russia. Okay. Keeping an eye on you. Captain Glitter, you says we're dealing with back to school numbers. Right. We're dealing with back to school numbers. Good morning, Anna Marks. We're going to see Labor Day cases and people still going to claim that it's just the flu, right? Good morning. Yeah, I'm nervous about the Labor Day spread as well. Nicole, you just dropped in the chat. We are distance learning this week because your son was in close contact with someone with COVID in his class. Week 2. So I'm gonna fast forward to the portion of yesterday's story. I want to see if I can get it. I remember where it was. Let me see.
Between waves at that time, and it was very predictable. We were going to experience
I don't know why they named this Pandemic Bites. A really weird name.
Public health messaging that was coming out of the administration that was in a way out of sync with what the vaccine could accomplish.
I think people in this country view vaccines as a silver bullet.
Now, this
that
is
once
real.
you're vaccinated, you don't have to worry about this anymore. And that's simply not the case.
I kind of felt that way.
Very good. They're very safe, very
Being honest.
effective. If you have been vaccinated, your chances of ending up in the hospital or dying from COVID are really minimal. However, they're not perfect. And
Right.
so it was to be expected we would see breakthrough infections, especially in places where we're seeing a lot of community transmission of the virus. In South Carolina, for example, which has some of the
Here we
highest
go.
rates of transmission in the country, if you're vaccinated, your risk of getting COVID are equivalent to somebody who is not vaccinated here in New York State. And that is simply because there is so much more virus circulating right now in South Carolina that even with the protection of the vaccine, you could still get infected.
I want to ask you another question, and
And that's the portion that I shared yesterday on social media. It's super gnarly. Why is that in there? It's super gnarly. That's a reality that we have to contend with. Like basically that's the expectation. The bar is so low. The bar is not even in, if the bar is in hell or is at the earth's crust or earth's core, whatever's deeper. It's bananas, right? I wanted to keep it going with COVID. Another thing I kind of glossed over last week, at the end of last week, we know that Governor McMaster held this press conference. This is the press conference here. It's 17 minutes from WCBD, but I'm not going to play that, right? I'm going to play, wow, this is the same thing. What's the same thing? It's the 18 minutes. But basically the way that, so the way WCBD frames it, Governor McMaster, South Carolina Department of Transportation announced plans to widen I-26. Forbes has framed it a little bit differently. South Carolina Governor McMaster recommends federal COVID-19. I didn't mean to do that. COVID-19 close player.
Their recommendations
All right, South Carolina Governor McMaster recommends federal COVID-19 funds be used on Interstate 26 project. I don't know who Forbes has working in South Carolina, but all they do is cover South Carolina. It feels like seriously. Even Forbes has written this piece, and Forbes is owned, right? Forbes is owned by I think Chinese. I think they sold controlling shares of Forbes to a Chinese based media company. And there's a lot of like advertorials being ran in Forbes regarding South Carolina tourism. Let me not say a lot. I've noticed a couple of splashy South Carolina based stories about South Carolina tourism in Forbes. It's just interesting how Forbes, if you go to Forbes on YouTube, you'll see a lot of Lindsey Graham, a lot of Tim Scott, a lot of McMaster, a lot of Nancy Mace.
To me, and we'll make that recommendation to the General Assembly soon. In addition, I'll propose how the state will distribute $525 million from the Savannah River site lawsuit settlement with the federal government.
Wow.
With these funds from the American Rescue Plan and the Savannah River site settlement,
So the CARES Act.
we in South Carolina have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. We must seize this moment to set our state on a strong course for generations of prosperity and
So
success.
instead of coming up with a comprehensive response to help families deal with COVID, thank you for the sub. Thank you for the sub so much. I appreciate it. Instead of using the CARES Act money and coming up with a comprehensive plan to help fight COVID, and I will say that of course our infrastructure needs attention, right? But we've got infrastructure. This is the weird place Hank has placed himself. He and other Republicans from the state have demonized all of that infrastructure legislation that hasn't been voted on yet. They've demonized it for so long, I guess they can't acknowledge how it would help things like this I-26 project. Pardon me, y'all. Comes in my eyeball. But yeah, so they spend so much time and energy demonizing any forthcoming infrastructure legislation that now they're using COVID relief money for infrastructure projects. This is interesting to me. I wonder how people feel about that. Good morning, Kia. Right. Yeah. Oh, you reported all of Tim Scott's ads. L Cool J, you had dropped a comment in the chat earlier. You said, I had to engage with a guy last week who said he didn't understand some health facility guidelines. Wow. Okay. Why? And your question was why? The deaths and cases are the lowest since the pandemic started. I refuted and pointed out the opposite and finally had to repeat the requirement and disengage with him. Yeah. That's all you can do is just restate the facts with less as emotionless as possible, I guess. Right. That segment blew your mind, Meg. Yeah. You watched it on IG. Shout out to you. Justin, you said we all collectively get lax after a minority of us were oh yeah, that's true. Like it's human nature. We felt like that the vaccine gave us this like, invincibility cloak or what have you. And then I had to, after seeing some of my close friends, like even my fantasy football draft. So y'all know I went to Brooklyn, went to Harlem, went to Jersey, and I went to Philly for 8 days. And so my fantasy football draft was on Friday night. And my homegirl Tamisha hosted, and even she put all of our hoagies in bags. The pizza was in a safe place so you could pull your pizza apart. She had single serve items like single serve juices, single serve chips, so that just to kind of keep things safe. Offered for they had enough room in the house so where people can go to the basement if they felt safe for the draft from there, as long as they had like a handheld device or whatever. Like after I start seeing my friends respond to the Delta variant at home and very like whenever we would socialize or whatever, that's when I had to start saying, like even before the draft, I had to start saying, you know what, Meek, it's time to put the mask back on. It's time to really just kind of do what you were doing beforehand. A little bit, some modifications, but do what I was doing beforehand for sure. And then Justin, you said we've had a gas tax for years, referencing the infrastructure projects. And we've had gas tax for years to fund those projects. Again, he's trying to signal to his base that the money that if he does take money from if he does take money from the Biden administration, he has to do it. He has to use it in a way that feels like his base would respond favorably to it, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, he's been trying to misappropriate those funds. I mean, seriously, and he references, let me see if he says there, the committee.
This is an opportunity with these funds at this time in our history that we cannot afford to squander. We must invest these funds wisely and transparently and make transformative investments. That is, investments that will provide South Carolina with the workforce, the infrastructure, the intellectual capital, the environmental assets, and the quality of life necessary to compete.
Literally can say anything. I'm really interested to know if anybody from the media corps pushed back on this dude.
Nationally and globally for jobs and investment.
Specify this. It's so broad.
And I can think of no better place
blah.
to start and demonstrate this transformation than right here on Interstate 26. So today I'm proposing, and we will discuss, that we use over $360 million from the American Rescue Plan to speed up the widening of I-26 between Columbia and Charleston. Everywhere you look, South Carolina is growing. Businesses are moving here. Businesses are expanding here. Businesses are starting here.
Because we want to exploit our labor force.
More people are visiting our state. We've seen a rapid increase in the number of goods and products flowing through the port of Charleston, and we've seen the corresponding increase in traffic and delays on our roads and highways.
Everything that he just rattled off is something that we need to activate behind. And someone in the media corps needs to question the decision making on this. I'm sure within like print media, I have not pulled up anything. I haven't pulled up any coverage on this. I haven't read it closely at all. I'm sure they'll add some sort of contextualization, but in real time, people have to start questioning him. This is so broad, and he didn't in this clip. I'm not going to let it play anymore because it's almost 20 minutes. But I saw it in another clip where he references that committee that he assembled. I remember when I was still working for OHM and doing those COVID-19 daily updates. One of the first things that him and McMaster did was have a respond to the business interest versus responding to the actual medical needs and concerns. He created that. Was it Accelerate SC? Matter of fact, let me see this. I think the clip that I wasn't going to queue up, I think that one says it out the gate. I think this one, hold on, let me.
Investments, that is, investments that will provide South Carolina with the workforce, the infrastructure, the intellectual capital,
we
the
just heard this. Hold on.
assets, and the quality of life necessary to compete nationally and globally for jobs and investment. And I can think of no better place to start and demonstrate this transformation than right here on Interstate 26.
It's really weird.
So today I'm proposing, and we will discuss, that we use over $360
Hold on, 1 second.
million
Give me a second. I know we
from the
listened to this
American
already.
Rescue Plan to speed up the widening of I-26 between Columbia and Charleston. Everywhere you look, South Carolina is growing. Businesses are moving. Identified the widening of I-26 between Columbia and Charleston as one of its highest priorities. This one-time investment, transformative investment, will allow the department to accelerate that widening by 6 years. And that, again, will give us a jump start in competition with our competitors around the country and in the world.
What the fuck? What are you talking about? He sounds like he's at the NASDAQ. Y'all help me out. Help me out. Do I got this wrong? So when I engage with government, do I have this wrong that we're competing with? Who we competing with? Is he taking like xenophobic jingle what's the word? Jingoism? What is the word? Am I fucking it up? I know I'm fucking it up. Is he taking like that whole like nationalist, like isolationist rhetoric and applying it? Who are we competing against? Who are we in a space race or some shit? We in an infrastructure race? And like the refusal to even cite climate change as a part of this and just talk about the commercial impacts, to me is really, 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 really weird. All right, so I didn't get the clip, but basically he talks about that Accelerate SC thing that they created. I remember when COVID first started to wreak havoc in the state. He touted this committee or this group, this task force of like all these business leaders, like from the breweries and from all these other different businesses and tourism, heads of tourism bodies throughout the state. They were all going to accelerate SC. So he was talking about accelerating SC way back at, the early days of COVID. He's always been speaking to business interests here, and that's why it was important yesterday to really like talk about tourism and Labor Day, and talk about we have to start viewing our tourism leaders, our tourism boards as political entities, because their response or their lack of response to COVID and their lack of regard for human life and how they've taken so much, tens of millions of dollars. Our tourism industries have received tens of millions of dollars to just spend on advertising to lure people to a state that is currently on fire with this virus, with this Delta variant. And so it's just really weird. He's not talking about anything that would actually address what's going on in the here and now, and the refusal to even touch on COVID-19 and the refusal to even use those funds for what they were designed to be used for. It's just, to me, telling us in so many ways, you're on your own. You're on your own. And I don't know, you can't shame a governor like this. You can't shame a governor like this. You just can't. Let's check out this story right here from WCNC. I'm gonna catch up in the chat.
I can honestly say with my
professionals are warning South Carolinians that if things don't change when it comes to vaccinations, masking, and social distancing, we could be experiencing the highest surge in COVID-19 cases to date. Reporter Emily Correll has the latest from the Palmetto State.
I can honestly say with myself being vaccinated, I do believe that's what saved me from having the symptoms of the fever, the throwing up, the headaches. I have not had any of those symptoms.
Crystal Guest received the Johnson & Johnson vaccine back in March and is now witnessing firsthand the effects of being sick with COVID-19 at the same time with her 16-year-old son, who is unvaccinated and is also experiencing the illness.
Wow. No, I've been fortunate now because my son, today is the first day he's not had fever.
Crystal's son, Caden, was scheduled to get his vaccine Wednesday, but woke up feeling unwell. The whole family went to get tested for COVID-19, and both Caden and Crystal tested positive.
He's had 102, 103 fever since Wednesday.
Black people, my black listeners and viewers. She got a biracial son named Caden. It's like a joke. Black people, y'all feel me? It's either Caden or Jaden. It's like a stereotype. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to take away from a serious story. I'm not. Hold on one second. It's either Caden or Jaden. It's always an Aiden.
He's not had fever.
Crystal's son, Caden, was scheduled to get his vaccine
Jordan.
Wednesday, but woke up feeling unwell.
I hope Caden is doing well.
The whole family went to get
serious.
tested for COVID-19, and both Caden and Crystal tested positive.
He's had 102, 103 fever since Wednesday, and he's had nausea. He's been throwing up. He's had a headache so bad he couldn't stand up.
Oh, no.
I mean, he's had the major symptoms.
Oh, that's
but the
horrible.
only thing I've had is just sneezing, runny nose, and a sore throat.
University of South Carolina student Ashley Schmidt had all the severe symptoms Caden had, but she actually received the vaccine earlier this year.
I was going to play this
I
clip.
don't want other people to get as sick as I did, because I don't wish that on anybody. That was the sickest I've ever been.
Ashley.
On a serious note, like, we got to hear these testimonials from these younger people who have had to deal with severe COVID symptoms. This is the thing, and I've said this before. Y'all have said this. I'm sure there's a more elegant way to frame this, but it's like, death is the only metric these people observe. And then we see when death is a reality, people like Babs Crosby is saying, oh, death ain't that bad. Well, God's got them. I'm sure they're in heaven, right? Like they're literally, there is no, I'm talking so much. I'm moving my hands so much talking with my hands so much. There is no worse. Like, there is no bottom for them. They're willing to accept if COVID. I don't even want to be too silly with it, but like, there's nothing that can move people like this, that's why it's important for younger people to start talking about their symptoms. And I guess what made me pause it and start talking was, so if they are not even observing death. Now death ain't even like a compelling argument for them, right? And I guess they're saying, oh, these are isolated incidences, these are rare. But the more people that speak out about their symptoms, I feel, especially if the people who speak out are younger, hopefully, maybe that'll change some minds. But, I highly doubt it. It's sad.
3 roommates also tested positive with weird symptoms as well, like chest pains, dizziness, head congestion, and more.
I had Moderna, and I had the worst symptoms. My one roommate had Pfizer, and she still had really bad symptoms, but not as bad as me. She still was really down bad. And then my other roommate, who was unvaxxed, only had the sniffles, and the only reason
down bad is that's AAVE. But I get it.
Why she got tested was because we all tested positive.
And while Ashley and her friends' situations stand out, medical professionals are still encouraging not only vaccination, but physical distancing and masking as well, because hospitals are filling up.
It was so bad. The hospital was packed with people. It was packed.
Dr. Wendell James at Prisma Health says they need the public to work with them.
We beg you, please work with us. We have no other interest but yours.
Begging.
Is we're dealing with a younger population. We have young fathers and mothers coming in here going on vents, and some of them die. That was not with the previous 2 surges. There's stronger people that are coming and getting this virus than we previously saw.
I hope people take it more seriously, especially some of my friends after seeing how sick I got. I feel like some people are realizing how bad this variant maybe is.
I tell anybody it's their own right to choose, but I just strongly encourage it.
That's eye-opening. That's what it is. I want to play too. I want to get to YouTube TV. It's not specific to Charleston or South Carolina, but the opening news package this morning on CBS this morning was really, really like compelling. I want to play one more piece from, because we saw this young lady here on a WCNC clip, but she's from Columbia, so we already saw that. We're going to get to the National Guard's response coming in, but let's play this real quick.
Of our state, as we're charged by the legislature to do so with the Medical University of South Carolina.
Oh, scratch that. That's I think I just watched that for some context. That's from August 31st. Even though that's not too long ago, that's not what I wanted to play. Let me see. Okay, so this was our patients need us. Emergency workers don't stop for holidays. I wanted to play this clip.
Comes to an end. We're taking a closer look at the folks who don't take today off. For first responders and emergency workers across the area, there's never a holiday. I want to know if this has got a
COVID response, a COVID angle. Hold on.
That's the story.
I haven't seen this yet.
But typically, like any other holiday, you have to love the job. You're here to provide good service for your patrons.
Pardon me, y'all. I thought I had certain things queued up. I think I have it. I had different stuff. Okay, so we pretty much. I want to get to. To watch that. But here we go. Okay, so what I did was Google South Carolina COVID cases. We're gonna get an update. I heard today we're gonna get an update from DHEC regarding the numbers. I think they take the day off. They took Labor Day off giving us an update. We kind of learned already about the two. Did we learn about the two children? We learned about the two children that passed away from COVID, right? The 9-year-old and the 15-year-old, which is super sad. I mean, right, 4-day total. This is a more recent Live 5 news. We can watch this. Hold on 1 second. Let's get around some ads. Hold on 1 second. I'm just gonna mute it. And as soon as this plays, so yeah, South Carolina Health Department. Here we go.
Today because of the holiday. DHEC says it will include the past 4 days of COVID numbers tomorrow.
That's it. Get all that. So yeah, 4-day total of new COVID-19 cases. Y'all, I'm all over the place this morning. My bad. Hold on 1 second. There's something else I wanted to play. Anyway, let's get to. Let me get to the whole National Guard piece. Let me open up one. Let me see. I want to get that news story. That's what I was looking for from, like, I think it's coming to the Georgetown area. Nope. No, I had it. Was the Thailands? Was it the Thailands? Like, Thailand's National Guard. 4 days ago. So yeah, it was announced 4 days ago, but then yesterday when I was watching yesterday's Live 5 News in the evening, they and I think I did talk about this too before the week ended last week. But
dust on the floor can become airborne.
So but they're scheduled to arrive today. And so I wanted to talk about this. I was looking for that current story that demonstrated that. I'm gonna check you out in the chat in a second.
To support clean air.
Looking ahead, early next week, around a dozen members of the South Carolina National Guard will be deployed to help several healthcare facilities handle a surge in COVID cases and emergency room demands.
This is so
Logan
wild.
Rygstad is in Georgetown to explain what role they will play in the fight against the virus.
It's more volume than we would have ever seen this time of year.
And with emergency department volumes up 30 to 40%, Tidelands Health's chief operating officer, Gail Resitar, says it was time to call for help.
We are way above our normal capacity, our normal patient volumes. And on top of that, we have shortages and we have vacancies and we have people out on quarantine.
By no later than Tuesday, members of South Carolina's National Guard are set to be deployed, serving as emergency department EMTs at the Georgetown Memorial Hospital and Waccamaw Community Hospital. The Guardsmen and women could also support monoclonal antibody and temporary respiratory clinics. It's one of the steps Tidelands is taking to address overcrowding as some of their own staff members quarantine or battle the virus.
Pulling people to the bedside from, say, an administrative job. And we are creating incentives for our staff to pick up extra shifts.
I'm about to read the chat.
Tidelands says its emergency departments are serving as holding areas for patients until beds open up. At one point this week, nearly 24 patients, 9 in critical care, were waiting for a bed. And Resitar says she doesn't see the demand or COVID case rates letting up in the short term.
It's just not slowing down yet. We just have too many people that are unvaccinated in our service area, and they're getting sick enough to need the ER and the hospital.
In Georgetown, Logan Rygstad, Live 5 News.
Sad.
Now that initial deployment is set to last for just 2 weeks, but it could be extended if needed.
And so is that the plan? I guess my question to you all, before I read the chat, is like, is that the plan, is to just let the government intervene and then act like and never reference it? So like, is McMaster just gonna because he could have, I don't know if he's spoken out against the National Guard coming, or that them or these healthcare facilities calling the South Carolina National Guard. And he was very vocal about, our I guess our National Guard going to the border, or our servicemen and women going to the border to help with the immigration crisis. He was very vocal, all of that. the news has been they've been very vocal and congratulatory about the servicemen and women who were helping with the evacuation efforts in Afghanistan. But like, what are they saying? I haven't seen or heard anything from our elected officials regarding this type of response. Is this the plan? Is the plan just to have the National Guard show up and then like people just be like, yeah? I don't know. All right, let me check out the chat. Shout out Joy for dropping some gems in the chat. Joy, you said for CCSD, Charleston County School District, they're supposed to be coming out with a new COVID dashboard, but you put in parentheses they keep that they can keep failing to update. Okay, so they're going to try to come up with some new measuring tool, but you're saying based on previous experience with their tools that it's going to be something that's not going to be updated. Jessica, you said that we need a tinted van and a box of J&J vaccines. What do you mean? Just put a oh, you need a windowless van. You need a windowless van. Right, with box of, like, you just need to start kidnapping people and just give them the jab, the one jab, right, the one shot, the one hitter quitter. Put a pillowcase over their head. I mean, for real, like, it's like money, like they haven't really gone all in on the whole money as an incentive thing, not for the general public outside of the Colleton County shout out. Remember we talked about the school administrator down in Colleton County who was offering her staff those like $300 and $500 incentives, I think it was. Shout out to her, right? They do need an incentive, like seriously. Let me see something else. D, earlier you said the variant is more aggressive, especially after listening to the clip from the Thailand's health facility from that administrator. You can hear, she's like, we don't have the capacity. And then so D, you wrote, as we were watching that, as I was watching that, or before that, this variant is more aggressive. Every time a vaccinated person gets the virus learns more about how to override the vaccine. I'm afraid we are headed to the variant that doesn't even blink at a vaccine. Yeah. And then people who didn't believe in the vaccine will use that as, oh, you see, we told you. No, y'all didn't get the vaccine. Y'all didn't help at all. You all did not do your part. Let me scroll down some more in the chat. Jessica, you were responding to something. You says perfect. Set up and stand at the feed store like we're selling Girl Scout cookies. Just write ivermectin on the side of the syringe, right? They'll take it. El Kuj, you said amazing that anyone speaking for the state can ignore all of that data. National Guard presence, school closings after no mask mandates, etc. Absolutely, right? Joy denials of the river in Egypt. I'm saying. All right, so I'm gonna do something awkward, but just bear with me, okay? Only because y'all know how. Whatever. I'm just trying to navigate tech. So this window right here is YouTube TV. So this is how I watch TV in my apartment. So I paused this clip here. And this is not dealing with COVID, but we're going to veer right back to COVID and watch the beginning. Like I said, the early opening news package for CBS this morning. We're going to watch that. But I wanted to show this and just knock it out real quick and then get back to COVID and our state's COVID response or lack of COVID response, right? But just bear with me for a second. We're going to play this and I'm going to ask a question. I'm also going to play Charles Blow piece because I really want y'all to help me with something. So look, do a COVID timeout. We're gonna talk about this new proposed or I guess about to be enacted protest ordinance. You know, Mount Pleasant likes to watch Charleston and then they copy and paste. In some instances, not all, but Mount Pleasant is currently considering and probably about to enact similar ordinances that will curtail your right to protest, your First Amendment right to protest. But check out the footage. Check out the footage in here. Check out, I told you B-roll is extraordinarily important, right? And I'm going to ask a question after we watch this footage, okay? Together. It's probably going to pause for a second. because I had to pause for a
Now,
while.
the chief of police says this mostly applies to protests. Summer Hector is live now to explain those very changes. Good morning, Summer.
Let's see.
Aisha, good morning. Yeah, under this proposed change in the ordinance,
It told you it pauses when you pause for a while. Hold on.
folks planning a protest or any public demonstration would have to give more than a week's notice. Now, under the current ordinance, which was passed back in 2002,
Look at the
a
B-roll.
person has to apply at least 10 days in advance for a public.
And can someone tell me when did this specific demonstration, if you know, when did this specific demonstration happen? Are they in Shem Creek? Is that where they at? Can y'all let anyone know anything about this? If they recognize this from a previous newscast, let me know, because this B-roll is very interesting. Oop. Oop. Like YouTube.
Demonstration, except
where is that?
under
Is that
three
Somerville?
exemptions. That's funeral processions, a governmental agency acting within the scope of its functions, and
that's
third,
Mount Pleasant.
spontaneous events occasioned by news or affairs
right there.
coming into public knowledge.
What the fuck? Y'all know who that is, right? This is the Shem Creek one. See, look at that, Joy, Jinx. So my whole thing is Chick-fil-A Chief Reynolds, and I don't know who the chief of police is of Mount Pleasant PD. I think they're being a little savvy in that they have responded to all the outbursts from these unmasked groups, right? Like they're killing two birds with one stone. In terms of like these ordinances will also, I guess, impact the Proud Boys. But let me just time out from that part. Will our news ever, like, you can't just flash this shit and not cannot explain it to people. Does that make sense? I know I'm at a loss for words, because it's like if the KKK showed up with the hoods on, and you just keep talking about the new protest ordinance, and you're not talking about the fact that the KKK is organizing in your township. I don't understand that. And then I also don't understand how no press is covering how these white nationalists are a part of this group, this unmasked group. Why is no one talking about that? And how the hell Moms for Liberty, how are they organizing with, rhetorical question, Moms for Liberty organizing with a chauvinist group? That Venn diagram is needed. Dude is wearing a mask, right? It's weird. Like, what did you put? So, Anna Marks, is the ABC News 4, did they cover it? Is that why you dropped it? I'm about to click it after we get through this. Moms for Liberty, Joy, you just dropped in the chat. Moms for Liberty are trying to stage a school walkout day this Friday to peacefully protest masks and vaccines. Okay. Jessica says being of sound mind and living in South Carolina is like, signing yourself up for some kind of breakdown. I swear to God. So I have a question. Like, I do think that the news can responsibly, without sensationalizing things, can responsibly mention we've got a hate group. This is why I know motherfuckers ain't really real about post Dylan Roof massacre. Oh, we're this is not us. He was a lone wolf. We're Charleston strong. All you Charleston strong hashtaggers, y'all don't say shit about this. Y'all don't say nothing about this. And y'all know somebody in these groups who is literally shoulder to shoulder, elbow to elbow, hand in hand with these hate groups, and no one is saying a thing post Dylan Roof Charleston. No one is pointing out the fact that these hate groups have, I don't even want to say the word infiltrated, but I'll say it here, has infiltrated these groups. And then when our local news covers it, now the camera person knew enough to get these men on camera. cameraman was wise enough to get it on camera, but I really wish that the editors and the reporter would have pointed out that the Proud Boys were in these groups that were protesting in fucking Shem Creek. And I know people like, Joe Bro Cunningham is going to say, well, just ignore it and it goes away. And actually, the next clip I'm going to play after this is going to go into that. Let me just keep going real quick.
Knowledge within 3 days of such public assembly, provided that the organizer gives written notice to the town at least 24 hours prior to such parade or public assembly. However, now the chief of police is requesting the third item be removed from the list of exceptions. At Mount Pleasant's July Police, Judicial, and Legal Committee meeting, the police chief said with social media and the 24-hour news cycle now, protests evolve much faster, and this nearly 20-year-old ordinance needed to be modified. He says the current ordinance opens opportunities for a large protest in 24 hours, which he believes does not give local law enforcement enough time to prepare. Therefore, under the proposed revisions, a planned protest with 50 or more people would have to apply at least 10 days before the event. Now, this change in 10-day notice, it will not apply to any protests that have less than 50 people. The Mount Pleasant Police Judicial and Legal Committee is meeting today to review this, and their agenda says possibly take action as well. Now, that meeting, it starts at 11:15 this morning, and it's happening here at the Mount Pleasant Municipal Complex. I'm live in Mount Pleasant. Summer Hector, Live 5 News. Okay, so I'm gonna bounce out. I'm gonna bounce out of that because we're gonna get to the CBS this morning in a second. Let me just bounce out, and then Honor Marks, you drop this in the chat. I'm gonna hit the link. Okay, anti-mask. Oh, thank God. And this is a Sinclair station. Thank you for doing that. Thank you. Anti-mask vaccine demonstration Saturday afternoon. Jesus Christ. Saturday afternoon. I'm talking about Babs evoking God. I call on God all day. Anti-mask and vaccine demonstration Saturday afternoon on Shem Creek. I had no clue that this ever even happened. Thank God they reported it. That's one group, and it's a Sinclair station. Who did this story? It just says by ABC News 4. It's probably the cameraman. You know how like the camera people, I shouldn't gender him. The camera people be doing. Sometimes they act like reporters. Sometimes they get deployed, they capture the footage, and then like they kind of do the story behind the scenes sometimes, or like contribute to these written pieces. I assume. So anti-mask and vaccine demonstration Saturday. This is in August. Saturday afternoon on Shem Creek brought out over 20 protesters and members of the Proud Boys. It's really interesting too to see how KKK Corey and Bear Spray Bessinger choose to kind of now distance themselves from the Proud Boys a little bit. It's interesting. They haven't really touched the Proud Boys since probably the insurrection that they participated in. The group encountered heavy rain. Oh, maybe that was why. The group encountered heavy rain for portions of the event. Good. Mask mandates have become a controversial topic in South Carolina thanks to state provision banning mask mandates while COVID-19 numbers rise. All right, I'm going to play the story.
With Riders Law Group, we wanted to really try to brand it so that riders across South Carolina.
Cut his mic. This motherfucker. Him and Mark Pepper, y'all can just put in the same category. Please don't hire him to take care of your civil rights cases.
To the Shem Creek Bridge to voice their concerns.
Thank you, Anna Marsh, for dropping this link.
Concerns over mask and vaccine mandates. The protest was supposed to begin at 4 o'clock, but heavy rain and lightning delayed the event. However, that didn't stop protesters.
I was out of town.
From the Shem Creek Park up to the overhang on the Shem Creek Bridge. Protesters holding signs that read "Unmask the kids."
That lady right there. She's worked with Corey, so this is I don't know. Y'all might know her. But she's on Corey's Overton Report channel. It's just amazing. I'm telling you, these white women will work with a white supremacist over anything. It looks like the Proud Boys aren't really meshing with that group, but they're there. So that's enough for me. They didn't shoo them away. But these women and their willingness, these mothers, these parents, these citizens, and their willingness to work with white supremacist groups right next to them, crazy, like crazy.
And no mandates.
Look,
members of the
okay, my bad. Oh yeah, they embraced them, literally embraced them.
Proud Boys group
Moms
were
for
also
Liberty
in attendance. As of now, it remains peaceful.
How the hell? Somebody said this in Facebook. You just said that KKK Corey, Mr. Breaking and Entering Corey, Mr. I went and participated in insurrection Corey is in Moms for Liberty. Somebody on Facebook said any childless person in these groups has an ulterior motive. If you're childless and you're not an administrator, you're not a healthcare worker, and you're in these groups, you a dude with no kids in these groups. I'm gonna just ask, what are your motivations? You have an ulterior motive. She was at the meeting. Nicole, yeah, I saw her there. I saw her. Because they are white supremacists. Period, Joni. You're right. How is Overton in Moms for Liberty? Joy, you said, my 8-year-old just read the sign, "Let our kids breathe," and said, what the heck? Have they never worn a mask? Right. You can breathe fine. Like I told y'all wearing corduroy or denim masks or something? What kind of mask y'all wearing? The ones that are saying that it's not letting them breathe.
Of course, we will keep you updated with the details. And
I'm glad. See, but the thing is, like,
with Riders Law Group, we wanted to really try to brand it so that the riders.
The one thing, the one thing that is, it was good to see. Thank you, Anna Marsh, for that. It was good to see that they put that the Proud Boys were in there and were present in the written. But y'all know people ain't reading. Y'all know people don't read. I'm even a victim of. I'm not a victim. I'm even guilty of that sometimes, right? Like, you gotta say it, and I have yet to hear someone say on camera, the Proud Boys were also noted hate group. The Proud Boys were in attendance. Back to you, Jim. Like, I just need you to say it. Just throw it. You ain't got a sensation. Like, you don't have to come up with like breaking news. Because to that point, I watched this Sunday and I thought about this. Let me see history. I thought about this. This made me think ever since I heard it on Sunday from Charles Blow on CBS This Morning. So I'm somewhere torn between you gotta report it. You gotta report it audibly so people hear it, not just have to scan for it. But this is where I'm torn.
Charles Blow.
Hold on, let me rewind it. All right, here we go.
Opinion this morning from New York Times columnist
Y'all tell me what y'all
Charles
think.
Blow.
100 years ago this week, the New York World began to publish a 21-part explosive expose on the inner workings of the Ku Klux Klan. It was a sensation. As the Columbia Journalism Review has put it, the series drew 2 million readers nationwide. New Yorkers stood in line for copies, and the Justice Department and several congressmen promised to investigate the group. The World would win the Pulitzer Prize for Public Service, the most coveted of the awards, for its efforts. But some believed giving the Klan this much exposure was a terrible idea. As Felix Harcourt, author of Ku Klux Culture, told The Guardian in 2018, some in the black press think that the best thing to do is to deny the Klan any publicity whatsoever.
See, I'm torn.
What was referred to at the time as dignified
That's what black
silence.
newspapers said.
Sure enough, the series did not have the effect that one might have thought. It did not cow or shrink the Klan. To the contrary, the Klan's membership exploded. Just 4 years later, 30,000 Klan members marched down Pennsylvania Avenue in D.C. in what the Washington Post called, at the time, one of the greatest demonstrations this city has ever known. This all remains a cautionary tale about exposure and evil in the world of journalism. In 1913, soon-to-be nominated Supreme Court Justice Louis Brandeis wrote in Harper's Weekly, under the headline, "What Publicity Can Do," that sunlight is said to be the best of disinfectants. But in journalism, this idiom is more complicated. Sometimes the infected court the infection. Sometimes the light you shine on evil also illuminates the path to it. Sometimes publicity is advertising. Consider how this continues to manifest today, whether through election denial, QAnon conspiracies, or vaccine resistance. Sometimes people are drawn to what we believe fact and logic would repel them from. Sometimes when we expose evil, we create or amplify an allure of it. Sometimes people willfully plunge into and are consumed by the very flame that provides the light.
And so there got to be a balance, right? Right? With that publicity comes accountability. Yeah, I think that, and then El Kuji says underestimating the white American people again, right? Right, so the piece ended up being recruitment piece. But my whole thing is like, so I'm somewhere in the middle. Like, I don't believe that, I do understand, like, my whole thing is in Charleston, in South Carolina, especially post Dylan Roof. And the reason why I keep bringing that up is because that was a huge turning point politically. It could have been politically, socially, in so many different ways. The massacre of Mother Emanuel could have taught us so many more lessons than we actually initially learned. And I think the narrative that we got after Dylan Roof was, oh, this is the lone wolf. We don't have to really look any harder. We don't have to interrogate whether or not this stuff is happening. We don't need to know whether or not, there are cells of similar like-minded individuals throughout South. Like, to me, I think that they let certain people off the hook, and they haven't really, no one has examined the current state of white supremacy. And I think there's a way to talk about it and to at least note it in the written coverage. White nationalist group or government identified hate group was at the, I think there's a way to say it without sensationalizing it or being overly, I guess, antagonistic of that group. I am a gadfly. I'm gonna fucking antagonize the shit out of a fucking white supremacist. And if I ever get a chance, like I did at the fucking King Crab Juicy Seafood and Bar parking lot, I will roll up on a fucking racist and flip them off and dare them to touch my body, my car. Like, that's me. I don't expect y'all to do that. I don't expect the press to antagonize racists like I do. I'm doing something different. But from the news, the local news media, after what we just went through, you don't even see consistently enough. You don't see enough attention paid to understanding the pull, the gravitational pull of these groups. Like, I am interested in hearing stories about how these white moms feel so comfortable with white nationalists. Now, we know that some of them are going to say, oh, we don't know who was at the January. Like, they're literally going to go march on the 18th. They're marching back. They're trying to go back to Washington, D.C. to march for the political prisoners, those who were in prison after the insurrection, right? So groups like this actually acknowledge in the same fucking breath, acknowledge that they were there and their people are martyrs. And at the same time, they like to say, well, we don't know who those people were. That could have been Antifa. That probably was Black Lives Matter, even though we're looking at middle-aged white men that we know from our own fucking states and townships. But like, so we know that some of them are going to backpedal, but I really would like to see more attention paid to, like, someone asked these. So did you know you're organizing alongside a white nationalist group? Like, they don't even have to talk about January 6th. Just talk about that, right? Ask this woman, like, send a reporter out there to ask, okay, hi, I'm with Live 5 News. Would you like to provide comment? No, we don't want to talk to you. Okay. And just keep asking them questions until somebody talks to you. And then ask them, well, do you know that the Proud Boys are here? How do you feel about the Proud Boys being a part of your organizing efforts? Just ask them that question. And throw it back to Jim. Throw it back to Nancy in the studio. I don't know. Throw it back to somebody. I just really would want someone to question this. And there's like a lack of a will. And I know some people are going to say, well, we don't want to give him so much shine. Joe Cunningham wrote that on Facebook years ago. Oh, if you ignore the Klan, you know, they'll just go away. No, and in the same story, he said how the Klan came every year. They coming back every year because you went inside and didn't say shit. Y'all remember when he posted that? I know I keep harping on that, but to me it was like that was my aha moment. Like, oh, this dude is really plastic, right? He talked about how the Klan came to his town in Kentucky as a kid over and over again, but all his well-meaning white family members just went inside and closed the doors and shut the blinds and ignored the Klan. But in that same story, you write about how the Klan came every year because you went inside. I think there's a little bit of light that will be a disinfectant. I'm not saying searchlight, just a little bit of light. Flashlight. You don't gotta be a searchlight. You don't gotta be, you know what I mean? Yeah, anyway. Jessica, you said so there's not only is there fertile ground for extremism, people who should do something won't. Right. Yeah, Joe Cunningham is whack. Right. It's just really weird. But I think there's a balance between like what Charles Blow, I'm glad I learned about that story and how and that's how white supremacy works. So we see that even like, remember all those signs after Trump was elected, we found out that white women disproportionately voted for Trump, right? And how that became like a refrain, and it really got on the nerves of a lot of white women, even white liberal women. It got on their nerves. And then what did we see the next election? The next time that when Trump ran for re-election, even more white women voted for Trump. So it was like, oh yeah, they were proud. And we saw that here locally when the whole Southern Charm milk bar thing happened to Pepe. We saw that these white women became way more bold in touting their affiliation to not just Trump, but to other hate groups and fringe groups. And then we saw the emergence of the Pastel Q and health and wellness and yoga communities here in Charleston and Mount Pleasant. So like, it created community for a lot of these wealthy white women, the boutique owning glitterati that were Trump adjacent, right? So we do get that sometimes the shame is actually an incentive for them. Like they want to be a part of it. And it's just amazing. Like I said, do that class analysis though. Cause I don't know if those Moms for Liberty groups, I don't know if the highfalutin O'Neill plastic surgery, boutique owning glitterati, I don't know if those women are really jiving with the Moms for Liberty. It's a trash bag with flaming hot trash juice inside. Freaking trash bag. All right, I wanted to go back to so yeah, they did a little shakeup on CBS this morning. Y'all see the new lineup? It's you not there no more, Mr. Mason. I love Anthony Mason. They kicked him off. So let's go to today's show because the opening package going back to COVID, even though we didn't really veer from COVID. Just wanted to talk about the whole white supremacy part. 3% on dining, including takeout. Let me hit mute. Sorry, y'all. Let me rewind it to the beginning of the show. Okay. Let's go. Let's see if it plays. I thought this was really when you're hurt, figuring out what to do next isn't always clear. Let me mute that. I thought this opening package regarding COVID, even though it's not specific to South Carolina, it shows the doctors. I think we're going to get the similar testimonials from doctors here in the state and in this region in the Low Country soon.
Good morning. It's Monday, September 6, 2021. I'm Vladimir Dutil with Dana Jacobson and...
That's yesterday's show. Hold on, y'all. Did all that for nothing. Hold up. Go back. Stop playing with me. Where's the 7th? Recent. Stop. This is weird. Oh, I know what I could do. Go live. Hold on. Granny's having a tough day. I'm acting like Barbara Crosby today with technology. I'm horrible. Did it go off? It did go off. Hold up. No library. Hold up, y'all. Today's the 6th or the 7th. What's today's date? Here we go. This got to be today's. Nope, it's yesterday's.
And Jerika Duncan, Gail King, and Tony DeCopo are all...
What's going morning. Hold up. I'm Barbara Crosbying it up. But why wouldn't it be? Why wouldn't they have episodes? I'm gonna find it. Hold up. I don't know what's going on. Hold up 1 second. They probably do that so you can't. Hold on 1 second. Let's see if they have it up here. Good morning, Courtney. Now they changed it. CBS Mornings. Here we go. They got Nate Burleson in there. Sidebar, not trying to be crazy. Did they scoop out Gail's waist? You know how Photoshop. Did they scoop? I'm not trying to be mean because Gail has a beautiful figure. I only hope to have Gail's shape, the body yaddy at 70-something years old. Ain't she 70? But did they scoop out? She look like the number 8. I ain't mad though. I be looking though. All right, let's see if we can find a clip from this morning that got my attention since my DVR wants to not let me be great. All right. No. Michael K. Nora came in studio. No. It was David Begnode. He did the story this morning. Let's see if we can find it. Here it is, right here. Here it is.
And as a member, as a team player on Team Humanity,
this is it.
I take that personally.
This is Dr. Hassan Kakli. He is in a race against time, but right now
KCJ
he is
18.
losing.
I think so.
It's okay, Araceli.
His patient, 50-year-old Araceli, has been unresponsive since he admitted her to El Campo Memorial Hospital roughly 3 days ago.
This is sad.
It's okay.
She needs an ICU bed and an evaluation from a cancer specialist. El Campo has neither. Despite being just 76 miles from Houston, home to the world's largest medical complex and more than 85 different hospitals, Dr. Kakli can't find one that will accept her as a transfer. Everyone is overwhelmed with COVID patients.
And I tried to get her into the best cancer hospital in the world, which is also in Houston, and they couldn't take her.
Kakli told us the wait times here in the ER are unprecedented.
You would never see 4 digits on minutes since checked in. We're 4 digits on the thousands of minutes. We've never seen this.
So these are actors according to
But Dr.
those
Kakli
groups, right?
understands
He's
what
acting.
the other hospitals are facing. Here in El Campo, the beds are almost entirely filled with COVID patients too.
So 20 patients in the hospital, only 1 does not have COVID.
Wow.
Wow.
That's how it's been. Past 3 weeks.
Wow.
Every day. Tell him, Annie.
Every day.
Every day.
For nearly 4 days, he and his team have worked the phones. Nurse Virginia Broman called almost every hospital in Houston.
All righty. Thank you. Bye-bye. No, they don't have any beds.
While Dr. Kakli called MD Anderson Cancer Hospital, and he pressed them politely.
So at this point, it's kind of like, we need help. Like if she didn't have the malignancy and we had an open ICU bed, we would take care of her here.
Finally, he got it. A yes. They accepted Araceli.
I thought you'd be all jubilant and...
No, I'm not jubilant because it shouldn't take 4 days and 5 phone calls
That's so
to make this
real.
happen. It's sad that we're all relieved and happy that we finally got a patient out after 4 days. Like that's where the bar is right now. Like we got him out eventually. And kudos to the entire staff here, the other ER docs, the other staff that have been keeping this patient alive for as long as we have. If we get through this, like the team that we have here, like our bond and everything that we have is just going to be that much stronger if we get through this.
If we don't kill each other first.
Exactly. If we don't kill each other first, we'll be good.
It was one of the few times they laughed together that day. But the good feelings did not last for long. 5 COVID patients walked into the ER while we were there, and none of them were vaccinated.
One more question. Yeah. How are you?
How am I?
He wasn't ready for that
I'm
question.
still going. I've had to accept the worst possible case scenario. It's that this is the worst possible scenario. It's not going to get any better, but we're going to keep going. And that's it. All right, let's get to it.
Damn. And I think it's just a matter of time.
COVID is kicking.
It's just a matter of time before we start hearing similar stories, and hopefully we'll have somebody in our local press corps do the same thing as David Begnaud does in these disasters. Shout out to David Begnaud. His coverage of Hurricane Maria was just was out of this world, spectacular. And the way he can get into these hospitals, I don't know how this dude just reaches out, but he gets into these healthcare facilities and gets these really compelling pieces. And it's really important to hear these stories, these testimonials. It's really important. All right, so I want to go to something I liked. It's something I liked on Twitter that kind of like, don't know the story, don't know if what's true. It is Twitter, right? But I have a feeling this is an honest account. So this kind of like really made me just perk up. My 12-year-old had appendicitis. The ER was overwhelmed with unvaccinated COVID patients. And this is not local. This is just something that went viral. My 12-year-old had appendicitis. The ER was overwhelmed with unvaccinated COVID patients. And we had to wait 6+ hours. While waiting, his appendix ruptured. And he had to spend 5 days in the hospital. Oh, my God. Just got the HMO bill of $5,000. So yeah, your decision not to vaccinate does affect others. And like, to me, that's all I need to hear. Someone like me, that's all I need to hear. This dude tweeted from Jensen Beach, Florida. Thank God we got some great people in Florida. And then this guy went on to say, I very seldom post personal things and do my best to keep this Twitter account positive or just Florida environmental history stuff. But dude, come on. It's been 1.5 years. We have to team up and track down this virus, track down this virus down and slay it. I guess he just missed, track down this virus and slay it. We all have to pull together. It's bananas, right? Hey, good morning, Evelyn. All right, stories like this, people riding around in ambulances. That's what I'm hearing too. People riding around, ambulances can't drop off the sick because the hospitals just don't have the capacity. We got the National Guard coming here. I don't know how else to say it. I don't need to sensationalize it. We've got the National Guard coming to regions throughout South Carolina to help these healthcare facilities deal with the capacity issue. It's heartbreaking. All right, I wanted to see. Let me see if there was anything else I wanted to hit up before. Tomorrow, I'll say this because I think I'm gonna hop off at 9:30. Tomorrow, I'm gonna play this first. Switching gears, y'all. Switching gears. Before I switch gears, before we completely move off COVID, I want to say this. Especially my Twitch peeps that are right here in the chat. I know y'all are already calling Post Away. I know you're calling Molly Spearman. I know y'all calling Governor McMaster. I know you're calling your elected officials, whether it be city council all the way up to the top of our state government. Keep calling. Continue to hold them accountable. I think, don't get too wrapped up in the social media. I think me getting banned from Facebook, I think I got like 16 more days. Me getting banned or being in Facebook jail, can't go live. I can post, but I just can't go live. I think that was a sign for me to just like chill out for a second. The fight is not on social media, even though we need to keep our eye on some of the nutty stuff that's being posted. We do need to keep an eye on that and document that. Honor marks, I know you're all over it. But not just honor marks. I think a lot of us have been cataloging some of the crazy we've been seeing, right? But let's make sure that we are making compelling statements or making we have a compelling argument to make when we call elected officials. Get your thoughts together, get organized, keep it nonpartisan, so they can't disqualify or dismiss you. They're going to dismiss you anyway, especially if they've proven that there's no bar, there's no low with this virus. Like the Babs, Crosbys of the world really don't give a fuck, right? I don't even know how she would act if she got COVID. Like, what would she do? She probably denied that she had it, right? In the ER, she's probably one of those people with spit at the nurse or some shit as her head spins around on his neck. But seriously, come up with a compelling argument. Reach out to your elected officials. Enough is enough. We just got to keep talking. And then I don't know if there's any organizing or any support given to our healthcare professionals. I haven't seen anything, nor am I trying to get involved with anything specifically. But if there is a way to reach out and help, our healthcare professionals, our hospital staff, let them know how you feel. Let them know how you feel. Let them know that they're doing a great job, that they're being very responsive to the needs of the public. Because honestly, these administrators at these hospitals have, you would expect them to be echoed or flanked by our government officials and supported. I'm just seeing them doing their own thing because they see that the government will not save us. And so I see these healthcare administrators, these high-ranking officials at these hospitals have basically said, you know what, we just got to take this in our own hands. But that's what I want to say, right? I'd go terms of endearment on their asses. You crazy. Nicole, you said exactly. That's how I always start out too. I always say, look, this isn't a partisan issue, right? And it's not. It really isn't. And I would venture to say a lot of these people at MUSC, at Prisma, at Roper, at Tidelands, I know not all those people voted for no damn Joe Biden, but they see the facts. The facts are the facts. There's no microchip in this vaccine. They're not tracking us. This is not the flu. Kids are dying in South Carolina. We're not getting the coverage that Florida and Texas are getting. We're not getting the same coverage, but South Carolina is just as bad as Texas and Florida. And as one goes, the other conservatively held state goes. And we'll see that too, as they continue. I think they've already started to, I think our state leadership, our conservative state leadership has already started to draft similar abortion ban legislation that Texas just got away with. So we're going to look, and they're trying to exhaust us. They're trying to exhaust us and kill us with COVID. They really are. All right. It's backfiring because it's their people that won't get the vaccine, but they're trying to exhaust and kill us with COVID and being inactive and distract us. And that's the thing. We have to just stay nimble. We have to stay hydrated. We have to get rest. Please prioritize rest. That's going to be important too. I know I sound like I'm rambling, but I'm dead ass serious. But let's get to this story real quick. And then I'm going to kind of give you a little preview for tomorrow.
In less than 48 hours, crews will start the process on a major change on Richmond's Monument Avenue.
Do it.
On Wednesday, they start removing the Robert E. Lee statue. Thanks for joining us. I'm Leland Pender, in for Bill Fitzgerald.
I'm Candace Burns, and we have team coverage for you this evening as the city prepares for the historic moment in Richmond.
CBS 6's Brendan King will tell you about the road closures you need to know about. But first, let's go straight to our Jake Burns, who has the details behind the removal plan. Jake, what are those?
Give him some melatonin gummies.
Well, Leland, we can tell you that as of Friday, there was a ruling by the Supreme Court of Virginia that cleared the way for the removal of the 12-ton statue. Most of the vibe around here has been pretty laid back most of the afternoon. Actually, some people from BLM are.
I don't understand why. Well, I know why Mayor Tecklenburg wouldn't let the graffiti stay up on Calhoun. That shit is beautiful to me. That desecration is beautiful. It's so beautiful to me. I want to be where the people are. I really wish I was like around people who just keep tagging and lighting up this shit. Ugh.
RVA are cooking out. A lot of people taking pictures, taking selfies. Of course, this is now a world-renowned piece of protest art, and that happened last summer during the protests for racial injustice and police brutality. For more than 130 years, the statue of Robert E. Lee towered over this space.
Kia, you got MSNBC on right now? How dare you? How dare you? How dare you?
Now Richmond's historic avenue. Its time here, now numbered, as the state is set to remove it Wednesday. The logistics for the removal are substantial from both the safety and public safety perspective. The state is setting up a perimeter around Lee Circle that will include fencing. Officials say that fencing is to ensure the safety of the workers and those who want to watch. Of course, for previous statue removals on Monument Avenue, the atmosphere was mostly celebratory, with the occasional and rare tense moment between onlookers who disagreed about statue removal. Several blocks around Lee Circle will be shut down completely, except for a first-come, first-served public viewing area on Monument Avenue, just east of the circle. The 40-foot granite pedestal, named by the New York Times the most influential piece of protest art of the 21st century, will remain for now. The state, city of Richmond, and Virginia Museum of Fine Arts leading a public campaign to discuss how to reimagine Monument Avenue once all the Confederate statues are gone. State officials say the Lee statue is the largest remaining Confederate statue in the U.S. and was put up a full generation after the Civil War as the lost cause narrative began to take hold in the South.
Y'all hear
Governor
this?
Ralph Northam saying, quote, Virginia's largest monument to the
I'm sorry. Evelyn, you already kicked it off. You read my mind. This is how you cover this stuff, y'all. This how you cover it. This ain't New York. This Virginia. This the South. This below the Mason-Dixon. You can cover this shit honestly. You can cover it as what it is. It's protest art. Right? I know they got a Democratic elected governor, but it's not. It's the South, y'all. Y'all see how big that statue is. That should tell you where the fuck this is at. This is in the South. Let me rewind that. Like, this is how you cover shit. This all I'm asking. Charleston, get your shit together.
First come, first served public viewing area on Monument Avenue, just east of the circle. The 40-foot granite pedestal, named by the New York Times the most influential piece of protest art of the 21st century, will remain for now. The state, city of Richmond, and Virginia Museum of Fine Arts leading a public campaign to discuss how to reimagine Monument Avenue once all the Confederate statues are gone. State officials say the Lee statue is the largest remaining Confederate statue in the U.S. and was put up a full generation after the Civil War as the lost cause narrative began to take hold in the South. Governor Ralph Northam saying, quote, Virginia's largest monument to the Confederate insurrection will come down this week. This is an important step in showing who we are and what we value as a Commonwealth. Richmond Mayor LeVar Stoney saying, quote, we're taking an important step this week to embrace the righteous cause and put the lost cause behind us. Richmond is no longer the capital of the Confederacy. We are a diverse, open, and welcoming city, and our symbols need to reflect this reality. The closure of this part of downtown begins in about 24 hours.
Damn, I want to take a ride up. Damn. So, this is, you're like, well, Mika, why are you talking about this today? We talked about Hank and Babs, you know, and the dereliction of duty. Because tomorrow we're going to discuss this recent documentary that came out. It got a lot of pub this past weekend on all the shows, right? On all the shows. Oh, did it get we're gonna get, I'm not gonna play too many things, but I'm gonna play this. So
that has never been the Confederate flag.
Oh boy. Okay. So basically, and y'all know I don't like Morning Joe. I used to tolerate it. I cannot stand Morning Joe. Shout out to all the women named Mika though. And media. But yeah, so basically, Clyburn's been hitting the circuit. You could tell who was involved with the production of this documentary by who's so out in front, and the PR machine behind this documentary earned its pay.
You are featured in the recent PBS documentary entitled Downing of a Flag, about the history of the Confederate flag in South Carolina. Here's a clip from the doc.
911, what's the address of the emergency?
Emmanuel Church is plenty people shot down here. Please send somebody right away.
To even comprehend what he did, you see.
This young man, Dylan Ruth, was a worshiper of that flag.
Interesting.
To pledge allegiance to that flag.
Go ahead,
Most
Gilda.
things in this state relate back to the Confederate flag. Every kid in the South got a rebel flag.
That flag is a strong symbol.
Tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., we will see the Confederate flag come down.
Yeah, after you didn't do shit, Nikki. So I'm going to watch it.
Wow. Let's bring in the to the conversation one of the producers of that documentary, founder and owner of Strategic Films, Dwayne Cooper. And Dwayne, I appreciate your being on. This looks incredibly powerful. I see Congressman Clyburn plays a role in this as you interview everybody who is involved. Tell us what inspired you to do this doc.
Well, you know, I did work as the House Democratic Caucus director in 2015 during that long debate when I think the world kind of tuned in on South Carolina. And since then, and what we've seen over the country since 15, you know, I think it's important that we have respectful dialogues about, you know, emotionally charged topics. And, you know, the Confederate battle flag in South Carolina across the South and what you see when
I haven't seen it yet. I'm gonna be, okay, y'all love me for my honesty, my candor. All right. I'm gonna just say what I've seen so far seems pretty boilerplate. So I remember when I first caught wind that this was going to air, I put in the comment, I trolled on the comment section in IG, on IG. I'm like, if Bree Newsome ain't in it, I'm gonna be very upset. And then whoever, I think it was SCETV, whoever is the admin of the page, it might be Gavin, wrote back, I'm just joking, wrote back, I'm like, you won't be disappointed, she's in there. I really want to make sure they not giving Nikki a layup, because Nikki didn't just, and I have a feeling because South Carolina ETV is not WHYY, it's not WNET, it's just not. Yeah, I mean, I have to say I had a little bias with it, and I think we'll see. I'm gonna watch it, but what I've seen so far, what I've heard, is pretty boilerplate. And South Carolina has this uncanny ability to say a lot of things and say nothing at the same time, or just state facts. So you might have Clyburn stating this one fact, and then you have this one stating this with one fact, and then what they'll do is they'll put white nationalism and the lost cause narrative on the same footing as those who are opposing the flag and understand what the flag really was meant to do, and the terror that went into using the flag, weaponizing the flag against black populations who were fighting for civil rights during the civil rights movement, right? So I'm going to watch this, and then tomorrow we're going to break it down. But let's just listen to a little bit more before I dip.
See it across the country, I think, is one of those conversations that then relate to a lot of other things.
Mike Barnacle.
Come on, Barney.
Congressman Clyburn, if you travel through the South, I imagine still today, but traveling through the South in the past, the Confederate flag, the Confederate symbol, was as much a part of your visual observation of the South, no matter what state we're talking about, South Carolina, Georgia, Mississippi, certainly.
Oh, boy.
How do you go about erasing
show more women with the flag
vivid memory that's almost like in the bloodstream of a whole region of this country?
Out of my bloodstream.
I don't know that you erase it. I think you should not erase it. It should remain there as a constant reminder of misinformation.
Cut his mic. All right, so we'll oh God, I'm in mixed company. Y'all don't understand what I want to say. Like, I disagree. I think I said it on Twitch before, but I'm not going to say the name of the institution. I disagree with a local prominent black leader or black leader of an institution here who also kept underscoring the importance of not erasing these monuments. And so this is, okay. So let me, real quick. There was another special that came out on PBS. I think it came on like an independent lens. Yes, Neutral Ground. So I watched Neutral Ground. I'm gonna play the trailer. Matter of fact, let's go ahead.
It is amazing. In 2015, I'm fighting Robert E. Lee. This is, it's almost hilarious.
Y'all see the
Those statues never should have been erected. The South lost.
Let's take down these statutes and put them in a place of proper remembrance, not reverence.
4 monuments. So the Delta variant is kind of hating, but my plan is to have a screening of this documentary. When I was in Brooklyn, shout out to the homie. I have a contact I have a contact with PBS who was instrumentally involved with the learning tools that accompanied this documentary. You can tell out of the gate, y'all, it's completely different from what we just played. I might even go back and play the downing of the flag thing again, right? But this is about the monuments coming down in Louisiana and New Orleans, right? You can feel the difference. And one of the things that's very different, Neutral Ground is funny as fuck. Hilarious, laugh out loud, funny at the same time, underscoring the importance of like still teaching you what these monuments are really designed to do, and really emphasizing the activist response to the calling for the coming down of these monuments, right? I know I said a lot, but y'all can feel the difference. Let me read the chat and see if anybody's saying anything. I don't know, but let me bring it back. Let me bring it back. Y'all feel the difference? Granted, 2 different projects.
It is amazing. In 2015, I'm fighting Robert E. Lee. This is,
I know,
almost
Jessica.
Hilarious. Those statues never should have been erected. The South lost.
Let's take down these statutes and put them in a place of proper remembrance, not reverence.
4 monuments to the Confederacy are set to come down in New Orleans.
The vote is considered one of the most sweeping moves by a U.S. city to cut ties with Confederate history.
But that's not what happened.
That's not what happened.
Backlash over a plan to remove these prominent monuments has led to death threats, intimidation, and even the intentional torching of a contractor's Lamborghini.
We're live out here at the Jeff Davis Monument. It is extremely chaotic right now.
We cannot have reconciliation without truth.
Okay. Here we go. This, for me, is the closest we can get to the actual Confederacy.
Somebody is going to abuse any institution.
People don't always take care of their objects well.
Right.
Including when that object is a person.
Including when it's a person.
We have intentionally misrepresented this history to our own citizens on purpose.
These people who are really bigoted, I bet we could just change their minds.
Why do you think that?
I don't know, because
Why do you hold that hope out, that illusion?
These stories are coming out. So I think we're in a different portal of time that these things are not going to be swept under the rug any longer.
That's protest art. Bye, bitch. So what you probably didn't get, it's hilarious. That I was not prepared for how hilarious that was. It's called Neutral Ground. It also features some people that I even interviewed for the Water Equity podcast, which is super dope. So the plan is for me, I wanted to try to have a public viewing of this documentary, not charge admission because it's the whole thing. And so that's something I'm trying to plan to do right now, actively trying to figure out the perfect place to have it. If it can happen with the Delta variant and all that, I don't know. But that's what I want to do. And I wanted to bring in people who were instrumental in creating some of the materials, the learning materials. I wanted to partner with them and see what else I could add or bring to a viewing experience. And I also wanted to interview one of the one of the featured activists from this documentary. I was really inspired after I watched this on my trip. But then and then coming home, I'm like, ooh, you know what, Mika? You got to get into the downing of the flag. And I'm just going to play it again.
Of liberty. Most black people came to this country against their will and were enslaved upon arrival.
I'm not going to play the whole thing.
After the Civil War in the South, they put up monuments to memorialize their ancestors, to feel that what those people had done was worthy.
We have to go back and judge them by the time in which they lived.
No, and see, that's the thing, like, this documentary, I already feel it, is giving equal ground to the lost cause narrative as opposed to, I don't know, let me watch it, right? I know I thought about the Ben. I don't know if B-Man is still listening. The B-Man told me about the history of the Bend. The Bend would be a good place. I ain't gonna lie, it'd be a good place, but I don't know how to make that work. And you know what? We could do a land acknowledgement at the Bend because Lord knows, but I have very little patience with storytellers who place a premium on giving Nikki Haley and other elected officials an out, and then like to have that white lawmaker, who was that just now? Or whoever. Let me see who this is.
People had done was worthy.
We have to go back and judge them by the time in which they lived.
And yeah, we could do that because even when slavery was in full swing, it was morally reprehensible. You had abolitionists, dummy. You had Quakers. You had slave revolts. You had people rebelling against the institution. You had people of faith making the argument. People from other countries making the argument of how cruel and inhumane the institution of slavery was here. I'm reading books right now. There are people during that time. So when you give somebody that kind of ground in the documentary, you give them credibility. You give their argument, their bullshit argument, credibility. So I'm hoping that it doesn't do that. I'm gonna watch it today and we're gonna talk about it tomorrow. But this is I'll save it for tomorrow. But tomorrow's live stream, we'll be talking about this documentary. I'll be offering up my critique. And then hopefully, y'all, I'll start having interviews soon. I've learned this. I probably said this already before I dip, but let me say it again. No interruptions once I stop doing the multi-stream. So if you used to watch me on Facebook, I'm gonna have to say, at least right now, until I leave this apartment and get a different setup and different equipment or even a different interface, the Facebook live stream and the YouTube live streams had to stop because I know that in order for me to have interviews and do all that stuff, I need fewer situations happening. And so hopefully in the future we'll have interviews with people, whether they be connected to projects like this or other things like Dr. John Hale to come and talk about his new book. That's the plan. I left him on red. If y'all know him, please let him know I'm coming. I ain't trying to disrespect him. I'm gonna text him today, I swear to God. I don't want John Hill on the show, but I want to do things like resume interviews, but I can't do that if it's going to cut out or the volume is going to cut out and, you know, my stream is going to be interrupted. And I'm noticing that once I stop multi-streaming to other platforms, shit's been a breeze. Fingers crossed, right? So, anyway, he said, what's the name of the one in New Orleans? That one is called Neutral Ground. Neutral Ground. Check it. I think they put it behind the paywall, right? And so I want to do a viewing. My friend from Brooklyn nudged me yesterday, like, make sure you continue to plan to do a viewing. So maybe someplace like the Bend. That did pop in my mind. Evelyn, and then Tom came in my house and was like, hey, did you know about the Bend? I'm like, oh fuck. It's just, you know, used to be a predominantly black neighborhood. Of course. But yeah, I want to find someplace safe to have it, but I also don't want to contend with the elements. It's a catch-22, right? So I'm trying to figure out what the best way to do it. What's the best way to do it? But I ain't trying to have it outdoors. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't trying to have it outdoors. So I'm trying to figure out what we can do, and if like perhaps it can be a hybrid of in person with a small crowd and like and then live stream that, have the capability of streaming it on Twitch for folks to watch whenever. I'm trying to figure that out, but I want to create a space where there's people in attendance that can contribute to the conversation. But if we have somebody from associated with the documentary involved, I want to give space to them as well. So I'm working on it. It might be a couple months from now, but I'm gonna work on it. But we definitely gonna talk about downing of a flag, because I don't know, y'all. I don't know. I hate to be biased. I'm trying not to be. I'm trying. But when you give these other people this equal footing, it's just not cool. It's not cool. All right, I'm gonna leave it there. 2 hours and 8 minutes in. I hope that you got something good from today's live stream. We tried to tackle what Babs and Hank were doing, or what they're not doing. The national headlines that they grabbed, the national headlines that the state has grabbed for being so laid back when it comes to its response to COVID-19. Henry McMaster using COVID-19 relief money to widen I-26 instead of actually using for what it was intended to do. using it for infrastructure, and then when the infrastructure money come, what you gonna do with that? Give it back? I don't know what he's gonna do. All right, but see y'all tomorrow for real. Love y'all for watching. Thank you for the subs. Thank you for the new follows. For those who share my content, bought a shirt, I really appreciate you. More coming. Sign up for the newsletter. Go to Instagram. Go to the link in my bio. Sign up for the newsletter. All right, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye.